Scott Lauber covers the Phillies for the Inquirer. And, of course, the Phillies had a kind of an up-and-down weekend, highlighted by 3 blown saves, a change of closer, back to the regular closer who got demoted, who saved the game in the same day that he got demoted. You got all that? Because there was a lot more. And we will begin to chronicle it now with Scott, who over the years has done a fantastic job in covering this team. But, Scott, I got to ask you about this particular team and the makeup of it. And you look back at, the last couple of years, this was a team that you might have been surprised they were still in the race. You might have been like, all right, they're lacking here. But is this team underperforming, or are they right where you thought they might be?
Well, I kind of want to say both. And I know that doesn't make a whole lot of sense because if you thought they'd be in a certain place. But look, I thought that they were 83 to 86 win team. Maybe that would be good enough to sneak in the second wild card. Maybe not. It would certainly make them playoff relevant late in the season. And it feels like they've I don't know exactly what pace they're on. They are under 500 right now, so they're obviously not on an 86 win pace. So I guess they're underachieving in that sense. And they are relevant in the sense that their division is not very good. No one's really running away with it, including the Mets, who are playing the best out of everyone and who have been banged up and who really should have, once they get fully healthy, you would think they should have their best baseball ahead of them. But the Phillies are in the thick of it, amazingly, given that they have not played well. And so they are underachieving, but they are also, I think if they pull it together, I had them as probably a near playoff miss anyway. So I don't know whether you want to call it underachievement or what, but I guess they're playing a little worse than I thought they would.
Well, with 19 blown saves in 74 games, it seems like there's a potential for them to have been better if they could fix the one spot on this team that prevented them from being a playoff team last year.
Yeah, no doubt. Look, they kind of ran it back offensively with, re-signing Real Muto, re-signing Gregorius, and you thought they'd score more runs than they have this year. And they've been banged up. They haven't had Gregorius since May 12th. Gene Segura could be activated tomorrow, but he's been hurt for the past few weeks at a bad time because he was probably their best hitter at the time he blew out the groin there in L.A. Bryce Harper has been in and out of the lineup here and there. So they've had their issues, but they also have not scored runs at a clip that you'd think that they would. But they ran back the same group from last year, and so you say to yourself, well, the potential is certainly there to score more runs than they have, and maybe in the second half of the season they will. But the bullpen, look, the one addition that they made was Archie Bradley. I kind of felt going into spring training that they were still a reliever of being a significantly better bullpen. I didn't think they could be worse than last year because that's not possible. But, I thought that they were still a late inning guy away from being pretty good. And I feel that way even now. Look, you sort of said it on the intro, right? That they took Neris out of the closer role and he ends up saving a game on the day he was taken out of that role because Alvarado blew a save in the first game of that doubleheader. Bradley blew a save in the second game of that doubleheader. Neris blew a save in the third game of that series. Those are your top 3 late inning guys right there. So you do wonder, I feel as if with the trade deadline now being about a month away, they are more than one move away from, let's say, being a World Series contender. But I do wonder whether if they could find themselves another late inning guy and they could win some of these games that they have blown, whether they might be able to sneak in as a playoff team. And for a team that hasn't made the playoffs in, going on 10 years, that would not be a small accomplishment. That would be a big deal if they are able to get in, even as a wild card. So I do wonder whether they look up a month from now and they say, well, if we can get one more reliever, here we go. We can make a little run in a playoff spot, and that would make for a better season.
Yeah, I think if they can, it's interesting. It kind of is a microcosm, though, of everything. Girardi, The fans want Neris out. He's not my closer. I don't know what Girardi's supposed to do here. So he goes to Alvarado, which, I mean, if you have any baseball sense, you know Alvarado can't close. I mean, he can't throw strikes consistently. So how do you put him in the high leverage situation when you know you can't trust him to throw strikes? So he does this. He puts Alvarado in, and what does Alvarado do? He throws 31 pitches in the first chance he gets. You got to go to Bradley. He now can't get the job done, and the next thing you know, Neris is back to closing. So the next time they have a save opportunity, who's out there?
Yeah, I mean, I think if we're to take Girardi at face value, it sounds like he's going to let Alvarado try to close for a little while. I don't think he thinks that a save for Neris on I guess what was it Friday? Was it Saturday? No. When did he got the save on Friday night?
Yeah, he got the save of the blown save on Friday night. So he got the save after somebody, I guess it was Alvarado, blew the save Friday, and then they needed to go to Neris in the 8th.
Yeah, and, I asked Girardi on Saturday before the game if I said, look, you had Alvarado throw 31 pitches in game 1 on Friday. You had Bradley throw like 25 or 26 pitches in game 2. Neris threw 7 and got a save in game 2. Who do you close with today? And that was the DeGrom game, and it was kind of, I put it out there on Twitter that Girardi said Neris would be the guy given the workload of the other two, and the response I got from a lot of people was, forget about it. They're not going to have a save situation against DeGrom. Well, sure enough, they have a 1-run lead in the 9th. Neris comes in, blows a save. They lose the game. So, I do think, though, that Girardi does not feel like one save on Friday night was enough to kind of shake Neris from whatever has been the problem. And certainly, he didn't get any help from his defense on Saturday. Neris didn't, and he blows that save. I think Alvarado is going to get the first crack at the next save opportunity, if it comes tonight, and they'll go from there.
Scott Lauber covers the Phils for.
But I agree with you.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I agree with you. I don't think Alvarado is a long-term solution as closer. He's just not consistent enough.
Hey, can they think outside the box here? Can they, Spencer Howard can't throw 2 innings. Why not, hey, let's get some value out of this guy who gives us an inning of 2 strong. Can they try that? Can they try to Velasquez? We've heard that a lot. They seem to love him in the starter. He gives you 2 good starts, 3 lousy ones. Haven't we seen this act before? How about trying to accentuate the positives of what you have in other areas?
Look, Howard is a tricky situation, and I know we've talked about it on this show. I've written about it, I feel like, almost ad nauseum. I think I'm repeating myself whenever I do. And, the catch-22 that they're in with Spencer Howard is they think that he can still be a starter for them, a regular member of their rotation as soon as next season. And when I say regular, I mean, put him out there, no restrictions, no limits, turn him loose as a normal starting pitcher. But the only way that they're going to be able to do that is if they build his workload a little bit this year. And if they don't, then he's going to have limits and restrictions again next year, and you just get caught in this endless cycle with him. So I think they have to sort of build a workload. He's got to continue to work on developing those secondary pitches that he might put on the shelf if you put him in the bullpen. So he's not going to build innings in the bullpen, and he's not going to develop that full range of pitches that he would need to start. Now, maybe it turns out you let him try to start, and maybe he's not a starter. Who knows? But you have to give it a shot. So I think that eliminates him from the conversation of, could he be an out-of-the-box closer for you? People have said to me, how about Brogdon? It's just he hasn't done it before. People have said, how about, Suarez? Well, he hasn't done it before either. And so, I think that they want somebody in that role. They know Bradley's done it. Alvarado's done it in spurts in Tampa Bay. And obviously Neris has done it. So they have 3 guys with closer experience, and they would like to think that from one of them they can find someone who could be a consistent closer. And if they can't, you can go out and trade for a guy before the deadline who might be able to help you in the late innings. If nothing else, it pushes 2 of those other guys down in the game a little bit more and makes you deeper in the late innings. So, they're a lot more than just a late inning reliever away from being a World Series contender or anything close to that. But as I said, if you take 19 or 20 blown saves and you cut that in half, maybe you make up the deficit that you're facing right now, in in winning the division or sneaking in as a wild card. Who knows?
Scott, I got to ask you about Rhys Hoskins' comments. I mean, to me, does that just kind of give you the overview of the mentality of this team when one of your guys comes out and says, hey, don't forget the good things we've done either? I mean, does that kind of tell you all you need to know about the organization and this current team?
I covered that game, and I think that was kind of my initial thought when he said it, was like, wow, that's not exactly hitting the right tone. The more I thought about it, the more I kind of get what he was trying to do. Like, look, I mean, if he had stopped with, he came out and he said, look, right off the top, before any of us asked any questions, he said, look, I need to catch that ball. I need to make that play. That's the play I need to make. If I make that play, I really believe that we get out of that ninth inning without allowing a run. We win the game, and now we're going into tomorrow with a chance to win the series. Like, if he had stopped there, you say, oh, great, stand-up guy, took accountability for what happened. And then, he sort of transitions into, but don't forget the good things we did, like we got DeGrom out of the game with a lead and blah, 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 blah. And he's right, they did do that. And, I turned to, another writer and I sort of turned to one another after he spoke, and we were like, I wish people would have the opportunity to read what I wrote for 8 innings of the game, which was the good stuff that Hoskins was talking about. They blow it in the ninth, and you hit Control, Alt, Delete, or whatever it is, and it goes away, and you have to rewrite your story. But my job would have been a whole lot easier on Saturday if I could have written about the things he was talking about. But that's not the story, and he's been around long enough in Philadelphia to know that, that accentuate the positive stuff, that might work in other places after a tough loss like that. It doesn't really play here. And I don't know whether he was trying to – I'd like to think that Rhys was trying to, do the accentuate the positive thing because he views himself as a leader of the team, and he wants the team to kind of realize that there were good things. I'm sure, look, we're not in the clubhouse anymore after games this year, but I am sure that was not a happy clubhouse after that game in particular. And, maybe he was trying to send a message to his teammates like, hey, look, there was a lot of good in that game. And he's right. There was a lot of good in that game up until the ninth inning. And then it all turned bad. So, maybe you want to have that conversation with your teammates if you're trying to get them to pick their heads up or, keep the faith or whatever you want to say. But I don't know that you want to put it out there to a fan base that is nearly as frustrated, I'm sure, as everybody in that clubhouse was. I don't think what they want to hear is, hey, there was a lot of good today. I just, and I think Hoskins knows the market better than that. So I just thought it was a little bit, it obviously didn't hit the right mark. And, but I do think I'm trying to think of where he was coming from. And I think it was coming from that place of like trying to pick up his teammates after what was a really tough loss.
Scott Lauber, the Phillies back in action today. It's a makeup game against the Reds. And then they got some tough ones with the Padres coming up. They got the Marlins, who always give them problems. So, of course, we'll keep our eyes on that. And at Scott Lauber on Twitter for the Phillies from the Philadelphia Inquirer. And we appreciate his time as always. Thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Mike. Anytime.